Hey guys, today I'm going to do a video showing you how to remove and clean the carburetor on your two-stroke mini pocket bike. This is the 47cc model. It's also available in 49cc, and all the carburetors are basically the same on them. And if you look on mine, you can see that I'm missing the air filter on the back. Yours probably has that, so it's just two screws that come out and that gets out of the way. Now the first thing you want to do on one of these is unhook your fuel line and drain all the gas out of your tank. Now mine's empty, but there's going to be a little bit of gas in the line here, so I just got a rag sitting here to catch it. Now we'll go ahead and pull that off and let that drain out, then we'll get to taking the carburetor off. We're supposed to have a fuel clamp on there. I ran out when I redid this. I didn't have any to put on. I thought there'd be a little bit coming out, but there ain't. So we'll get the fuel line out of the way, then we'll get to the carburetor. I don't really have the best angle here, but there's two Allen drive screws in here, and they're 4mm drive. And you want to remove them. Okay, after you get your two bolts loose, you can see they go all the way, the whole length of the carburetor here. You can get in here with a 14mm wrench, break this loose, and after you break it loose, you can unscrew this. I don't like this setup too well, but it works. And you take that loose and you just let it all slide out like that. You can see how that's set up. And this is your actual carburetor. This is your choke mechanism on here, how your choke works. If that gets loose, you can tighten that nut right there and make it work a little better. Now the gasket tore on mine. This is your intake gasket here. But I have a new one left over from the rebuild I did a couple years ago. I didn't need it then because it stayed intact, but second time around it came loose, so I had to replace that. I've also had to replace this bowl gasket on here. It's a real pain when that starts leaking. I'm also going to talk about how to adjust the float in one of these. Okay, the first thing you need to do, you take this screw and this screw out. Your float's not actually attached to anything like a lawnmower engine is. This stayed intact this time, but they usually try to come apart. So that's your float. This is the bottom of your bowl. See, that's your drain screw there, where you can take this loose and drain all your gas out first, which that makes it easier. And this is your actual jet right here. And these are changeable. You can change these. And if you are changing, you just unscrew it like that and screw your new one in. Because they make different size ones to adjust the fuel air mixture. Now to adjust your float, I'll go ahead and talk about that real quick. A lot of times on these pocket bikes, these pieces of metal, these little metal forks will bend and control the float. You can see there's a little pin that goes through there, and that works a needle valve down inside there. It goes in there like that. That's how your float works. On most engines, your float's actually built in on that, but on these, it just works off of that. And what I was saying, a lot of times on these pocket bikes, you'll have fuel coming out of this overflow tube right here, which is a vent in your carburetor here. And what's happening most of the time is your float's not working properly, and these pieces of metal need to be bent up. Bend them up like this. Not a whole lot, but see, mine's set about right where your float just kind of sits on top like that. But a lot of times these will be bent down, and it won't actually be touching that, and it can't shut the gas off, so it just constantly filling up the bowl with gas. So if yours is doing that, just bend these out just at least a little bit. And you can actually do this without taking the whole carburetor off. You can tilt your bike on the side. You got to be careful, gas might run out the cap in the tank. But you can take your bowl off from the bottom and bend them out without actually taking the carburetor off the bike, which is pretty handy sometimes, because you can do this in like 2 or 3 minutes if you do it on the bike like that. But I just figured I'd go ahead and show you since I got it off. It'd be easier to show you here. So if your gas is overflowing, just bend them tabs out about about a 1/16 of an inch to start out with, and go from there. If it still does it, take a little bit more. And if you take it too far, you're going to be running short on gas, because it's not going to be letting the right amount of gas in your bowl. And if that don't fix it from overflowing, you may need a new needle valve down here, which is a simple fix. You just pull that pin out, like I showed earlier. It's got two little forks down there to hold it, and you just pull it out and put a new one in. Now, getting to the cleaning part of these, you'll take your jet out, like I said earlier. You'll want to take some carburetor cleaner. I'm not going to do it on camera here, because I don't want to spray it all over my camera. But you'll just take your can of carburetor cleaner and spray down through here, and it'll come out the bottom. And always have safety glasses on anytime you're spraying carburetor cleaner, because that stuff will tear your eyes up. Now, on some carburetors, you can use a wire brush like this. These are actually for cleaning paint guns, to use for painting cars. But on this type, it's too big and it won't fit through there, so you can't use it to clean these. But that's a handy tip for cleaning other carburetors. Use something like these. Like I said, just spray your carburetor cleaner through there. Just a couple quick shots will usually do it. And you can spray some down through here, and it'll come out inside. But like I said, always have your safety glasses on. And you may want to turn your fuel on and spray some down through there, and it'll clean out everything real good. And after you clean your jet, you can put that back in there. You can actually pull out this part down here if you ever need to replace it. And you can run this all the way through there and clean that out pretty good. And you want to spray your carburetor cleaner to get any particles out. Put your jet back in. And don't get carried away with these. Just barely snug it, because that's just brass, and it'll strip out very easy. Now you're ready to put everything back together, because that's basic cleaning. Then you want to spray down through here and just spray the whole surface off, and spray the inside of the bowl. As you can see, there's a little bit of oil down there from the two-stroke mix. A little bit of dirt down there. You want to spray it off real good. The way I do it, you can just set that on there like that, and put your gasket on. Let it sit in there, and go ahead and put your bowl back on there, and make sure your gasket's lined up, and you can get your screws back in there. I also like to clean off the outside of the carburetor. Like you see, there's a little bit of dirt sprayed up there from the tire on there, and it's always a good idea to clean it off so no dirt will get down inside there. And you might want to replace your air filter too at the same time, or clean it real good. That's basically all you got to do. And then you're ready to put it back on there, and we're going to go ahead and do that right now. And this adjustment on the side right here, a lot of people think it's a fuel-air mixture. That's actually your idle speed adjustment. It controls how fast your pocket bike idles. And you might want to take that out and spray a little bit down through there just to clean that up. But you'll probably have to play with it a little bit to get your pocket bike idling at the speed you want it to. With your bolts here, one just goes in there, the other one goes in here, and your gasket goes on just like that, and you put it back on the motor just like that. You'd either go ahead and put your needle back in first, or you can go ahead and mount it, then put it in. That'd be up to you, whichever is easier for you. Okay, now what you do when you get ready to hook your throttle cable back up, there'll be a little tiny bump. You see it right there beside the screwdriver. Little bump right here. That goes with this. This part right here slides right over top of it when you put it in there. You make sure that needle lines up, and you'll slide that in there. Also had to turn out your idle adjustment screw almost all the way, and then you just tighten this down. And you take your wrench and just start inching it on there. And you don't want to get that extremely tight, because it's just aluminum. Now you want to check to make sure it's working. Now you're going to look down inside here. Let me try to zoom in a little bit so you can see. Then you want to turn your throttle, your twist grip. You can see it open it up, and you'll be able to see all the way through. That's how you know if it's working right. If it ain't doing that when you turn your throttle, you got something wrong in there. Like I said, you had to turn out your adjustment screw there all the way because it was hanging up on it. So then you're going to have to screw it back into approximately where it was at and set it once you get it running again. Then you get your 2 screws back in there. It's also a 5/32, by the way. I'm using a socket drive here so I can use my ratchet here to get it in there faster. And again, you don't want to get it real tight. You're not going into, you're just going into like aluminum, or actually plastic on these, because it goes into that manifold that goes into the crankcase. So you just want to get them fairly snug. Then you go ahead and stick your fuel line back on there. Like I said, you're supposed to have clamps, but I still don't have any. I had some a while back and I used them. Sometimes you got to take a needle nose and wiggle it on there like that. Then after you get everything back on there, you want to put your air filter back on. Like I said, mine's missing right now because it kept falling off and I don't really know where it's at right now. It's not good to run one without it. You're not supposed to do that. I know it's not good for the engine, but I'll probably only ride about 20 minutes a year anyway on it, so yeah, I'll probably get one eventually for it. Well, if you got any questions or comments, feel free to leave a comment below or send me a message and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So, thanks for watching.